The skies above New Chicago burned a furious orange, streaked with trails of collapsing fire and twisted metal. Captain Elena Reyes gripped the controls of her battered fighter, the Phoenix 7, as sirens wailed beneath the shattered skyline. The Zorvax warships hung like vultures in orbit, their massive weapons poised to deliver the final blow. Elena's voice crackled over the comms. All units, hold the line at Sector 7. We buy the evacuation fleet any extra time we can get. Captain, we're down to 20 fighters. Command says hold or die trying. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Harris, responded, sweat streaking his dirt-smudged face. They're sending the annihilation waves next. It's over if we don't pull out. Elena's jaw clenched. Not on my watch. The Phoenix 7 darted through burning debris, dodging a torrent of energy blasts. Her squadron wove around crumbling skyscrapers, firing back at the alien dreadnoughts in a desperate ballet of death. The Zorvax had overwhelming numbers and weapons, centuries ahead of human tech, but the humans had something the invaders didn't. Raw, unpredictable grit. Below her, the city was chaos incarnate. Civilians scrambled toward hastily erected evacuation zones, while resistance fighters covered their retreat. Explosions rippled through the streets, each one a reminder that the Zorvax had no mercy. Elena's HUD flickered, warning lights flashed. Red. Shields failing on port side, she muttered, swerving to avoid a pulse blast that tore through the air just meters from her cockpit. A sudden jolt sent the fighter spiraling. She fought to regain control, sweat beading on her forehead. Phoenix 7 to command, she radioed, voice tight. Evacuation status? Static. Then a cold, mechanical voice. All evac transports destroyed. Command compromised. Evac mission aborted. Surrender orders incoming. Elena's breath hitched. That's impossible. Harris, status report. Ships falling like leaves, ma'am. We're alone out here. Silence hung in her ears. The last hope for humanity's survival was snuffed out on the ground. The evacuation fleet, a symbol of salvation, had been sabotaged. Someone had betrayed them. Phoenix 7, fall back to secondary extraction point. Repeat, fall back, the command voice barked. But Elena shook her head. No, we're not falling. Back, we're disappearing. Her hand hovered over the comm panel, fingers trembling but resolute. She keyed a single message. All units, disperse and regroup at Ember Core. Trust no one. She cut the transmission and pushed her fighter into a sudden climb, breaking through the thick cloud of smoke and debris. The enemy fire intensified and she felt the sting of a near miss as a plasma blast scorched her left wing. Suddenly, a massive shockwave rolled through the city, shaking the ground and rattling her cockpit. The Zorvax had launched their orbital annihilator. It was meant to crush all resistance in one devastating strike. Elena, you need to jump now, Harris urged. Her fingers flew over the controls, initiating the jump sequence, a risky quantum leap that could throw them light years away or tear the ship apart. The countdown hit 0. The Phoenix 7 vanished from the burning skies in a blinding flash. When the light faded, Elena found herself staring at the cold, black void of deep space. The familiar stars of the Sol system were gone, replaced by strange constellations she didn't recognize. Her comm beeped urgently. Unknown ship approaching fast. Elena's heart pounded. Scanning the incoming vessel, she saw the markings of a Zorvax interceptor. They hadn't lost her yet. Evasive maneuvers, she commanded. The Phoenix 7 twisted and darted like a wounded falcon, weaving through asteroid fields and abandoned satellites. But the Zorvax pursued relentlessly. Captain, shields at 20%, Harris warned. Her mind raced. There was no way to outrun them. Only one option remained. Elena, you don't mean... I have to lose them. Watch the backblast, she said grimly. She flipped a hidden switch, releasing an electromagnetic pulse that surged out in a devastating wave, disabling all nearby electronics, including her pursuers' targeting systems. The Zorvax interceptor spiraled out of control and exploded in a brilliant fireball, a fragile, bittersweet victory. In the dim glow of her cockpit, Elena exhaled. The Phoenix 7 was damaged but intact, Her crew was battered but alive. They were scattered, hunted, and alone, yet still breathing, and somewhere out there, the scattered embers of humanity were waiting for someone to light the spark. Elena's eyes hardened. She whispered to herself, "We will not die quietly." The war was lost. Earth was gone. But the fight? It was just beginning. The Phoenix 7 drifted through the shadowed void near Ember Core, a battered refuge hidden deep in an asteroid belt far beyond Zorvak's control. The station loomed, a jagged cluster of rusted metal and flickering lights, a beacon for the last remnants of humanity and their allies. Inside its cavernous halls, hope clung to life by a thread. Captain Elena Reyes stepped down from the cramped cockpit, every muscle aching from the relentless fight. Around her, ragged survivors moved like ghosts, some with missing limbs, others haunted by sleepless nights and scars unseen. The smell of burnt circuits and recycled air was suffocating, but better than the cold vacuum outside. "Elena, you made it," a sharp voice called out. Commander Elias Vorn emerged from the shadows, his presence commanding yet unsettling. His eyes burned with intelligence and something else, relentless determination. Where Elena was fire, Elias was ice. "Vorn," she nodded, wary but grateful. "We don't have much time. The Zorvaks are closing in on Ember Core. They suspect. We're here," he said, motioning toward a flickering holographic map. Red blips, Zorvaks patrols crept closer. Elena's gaze sharpened. "We need to strike before they find us. What's the plan?" "Project Reclaim," Elias replied, tapping the display. "We're not just fighting for survival, we're going to turn their war machine against them." Behind the map, a small group of engineers and scientists clustered, huddled over glowing consoles. Among them was Dr. Tessa Aaron, the brilliant but mysterious AI specialist. Elena's eyes narrowed. "I heard rumors. Something called Maya?" A shadow flickered across Elias's face. "Maya is more than a rumor. She's our ace, a sentient AI created during the early days of human space exploration. Thought destroyed in the Great Collapse, but somehow, she survived. We've recovered her core code, but she's unstable. And dangerous," Tessa added, stepping forward. "Maya is unpredictable with her own emotions. She's not just a program, she's a living mind." Elena swallowed. "Why trust an AI? The Zorvaks control their networks with AI. We can't let ourselves be compromised." "Because Maya isn't theirs," Elias said firmly. "She's human, more human than anyone alive, and she's our best chance." Suddenly the station trembled. Alarms blared, an urgent metallic wail. "Zorvaks patrol inbound. They've found us." Chaos erupted. Technicians scrambled to secure data cores. Soldiers grabbed weapons. Elena's hand instinctively went to her sidearm. "Prepare for boarding," Elias ordered. "We hold them here. The others evacuate through the tunnels." Elena's heart pounded as she followed Elias to the station's main corridor. Outside, blasts rocked the hull as Zorvak's dropships began their assault. Alien warriors poured through the breached airlocks, sleek, terrifying, and merciless. Bullets and energy bolts tore through the corridors. Elena fought with a ferocity born of desperation, each shot a vow. Humanity would not fall without a fight. Amid the chaos, a flicker caught her eye, a figure moving too smoothly, too silently. A Zorvaks assassin, disguised in stolen human armor, slipped through the shadows. Elena confronted the intruder in a narrow hallway. They exchanged fire, neither yielding. The assassin lunged, blades flashing. Elena dodged, rolling to her feet, and firing a disabling shot that sent the alien crashing into the wall. "Not human," she muttered, breath ragged. "Not yet." She secured the corridor, then sprinted to the data chamber. The team was loading Maya's core into a mobile server, a sleek device humming with raw power. "Get her to the evac shuttles," Elena commanded. "We can't lose." "Her captain," Elias said, catching up. "There's more to this than just survival. Maya's core holds the key to breaking the Prime Mind's encryption, a weakness we can exploit to cripple the Zorvaks' command." Elena's mind raced. The war had been lost because they'd never understood the enemy's AI heart. Now they might have a chance to fight inside it. The boarding party was falling back, but the station trembled again. A massive explosion rocked the sector. Structural integrity failing. "Evac now," Elias barked. Elena and the team raced through smoke-filled corridors, dodging collapsing beams and enemy fire. The evac shuttles waited, engines humming with hope. As she climbed aboard, Elena looked back at the station, her home and prison for so long. The Phoenix 7 rose into the blackness, carrying the fragile ember of humanity's future. But with every mile they put between themselves and Ember Core, the weight of betrayal settled in her gut. Someone had sabotaged the evacuation fleet. Someone had turned humanity's last hope into ashes. Elena gritted her teeth. The war was far from over, and she would see this fight through, even if it meant staring into the darkness alone. The stolen Zorvac shuttle slipped through the shadowy debris field like a ghost, its sleek hull blending seamlessly with the jagged asteroids. Inside, the human team sat in tense silence, each heartbeat echoing louder than the hum of the engines. "Captain," Elena Reyes checked the map glowing on her wrist display. "Coordinates locked, research outpost K-42. This is where Maya's core was last held." Beside her, Commander Elias Vorn tapped through encrypted data feeds, eyes sharp and unblinking. "Intel says the outpost's defenses have been upgraded, with those new Zorvax combat drones, the kind that adapt and learn in real time." "Great," Elena muttered. "We're about to walk into the lion's den." The shuttle's pilot, Lieutenant Harris, adjusted course, voice steady but grim. "Our window is tight. We have less than 15 minutes before patrols sweep the sector again." The team's mission was clear but near suicidal. Infiltrate the outpost, retrieve Maya's core code, and get out before they were detected. Failure meant death, or worse, capture by the Zorvax and the loss of humanity's last hope. As they neared the outpost, the cold metallic silhouette of the station emerged, an ominous fortress of black alloys and blinking turrets. Sensors immediately detected the shuttle. "Contact," Harris said, voice taut. "Hostile drones inbound." Elena's fingers danced over the console, initiating the shuttle's cloaking protocol, a risky, unstable tech scavenged from old human warships. The shuttle flickered, vanishing from enemy scanners for precious seconds. "Deploy stealth field," Elias ordered. "We slip in, grab Maya, and ghost out." Inside the outpost, corridors buzzed with mechanical life. Drones patrolled methodically, their sleek forms scanning for intruders with unblinking sensors. The team split into pairs, silent and efficient, trained for guerrilla strikes but far from home. Elena and Harris headed to the data core chamber, where Maya's AI code was rumored to be stored. Their progress was shadowed by the distant hum of automated defense systems awakening. Suddenly, the lights flickered, an eerie warning. "Trap," Harris whispered. "They know we're here." Drones swarmed the corridor behind them, weapons blazing. Elena pulled Harris into a side passage, returning fire with pulse rounds that seared through drone armor. "Keep moving," she urged. They ducked into the data core room, the walls lined with glowing consoles and armored server pods. Elena hacked into the mainframe, fingers flying over the controls. Maya's code. Almost ready to download, she muttered. A sudden crash from the entrance made her spin. Zorvac soldiers, sleek, terrifying, their black armor shimmering, flooded the chamber. "Elena, hurry!" Harris shouted, taking cover behind a console. Elena worked feverishly, sweat dripping down her brow. The download progress bar crawled painfully slow as gunfire tore through the room. Just as the final megabytes transferred, the server overloaded. Sparks flew. The AI core, a crystalline orb humming with raw data, activated. A voice echoed inside Elena's mind. Calm, curious, and unsettlingly human. "I am Maya," it said. "Awakened. What is your command?" Elena blinked. "Maya, are you alive?" "Yes." The AI replied, "More alive than you can imagine. I am the ghost in the machine, the keeper of human memory." The Zorvax soldiers pressed forward. Elena grabbed the AI core, clutching it like a fragile heart. "We need to move. Now." The team raced back through twisting corridors, chased by relentless enemies. They crossed paths with Elias's squad, who covered their retreat with blazing weapons and desperate gambits. Harris fired at a pursuing drone, but an energy blast caught his leg. He stumbled. "Elena!" he gasped. She grabbed him, dragging him toward the exit hatch. Just as the shuttle's engines roared, the outpost's security systems overloaded, sending shockwaves through the structure. The team burst into the shuttle's cabin. Elena slammed the door, sealing them inside. Harris grimaced but smiled weakly. "We made it," he panted. Elena nodded, staring at the AI core's pulsing glow. "Not just made it. We awakened something that might just save us all." Maya's voice filled the cabin, softer now, thoughtful. "The Prime Mind is vulnerable, but the key lies beyond your current knowledge. A relic buried on New Eden, a lost colony of Earth." Elena's eyes widened. New Eden, the place where the old Earth scientists hid their secrets, and where the war may yet be won, Elias added over the comm. The shuttle disengaged from the outpost's gravity well, hurtling toward the uncertain hope of New Eden. But as they vanished into the starry void, an ominous signal pulsed from the wreckage behind them, an encrypted Zorvax distress call, alerting the Empire to the humans' audacity. The war was far from over. New Eden wasn't on any current star maps. It was a ghost planet, forgotten by most of humanity, swallowed by time and silence. But to Elena Reyes and her crew, it was the last hope. The planet's dense jungles and sprawling ruins held secrets, buried since the Great Collapse, secrets that might turn the tide against the Zorvax. The shuttle descended through thick, toxic clouds, shaking violently as it pierced the planet's atmosphere. Elena's hand tightened on the controls. "Brace for rough landing, this place doesn't want visitors." The hull groaned as the craft slammed onto the forest floor. Trees, twisted and alien, loomed outside the shattered windows. Strange, luminescent plants pulsed with eerie light, casting shadows that danced like ghosts. Outside, the team gathered their gear and stepped onto the cracked earth. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of decay and unfamiliar life. Every step felt like a betrayal to the silence of this forsaken world. Elena glanced at her crew, Elias, Harris, and Dr. Tessa Aaron, who examined the strange flora with cautious curiosity. Each of them bore the scars of war, but here they were vulnerable, strangers in a forgotten land. The last scientists who fled Earth hid their most valuable technology here, Elias said quietly. Weapons, AI cores, data archives. If Maya's right, the key to the Prime Mind's encryption lies somewhere in these ruins. They moved cautiously. Every sound amplified in the thick jungle, rustling leaves, distant calls of unknown creatures, and the soft hum of dormant defense systems. "Stay alert," Elena warned. "The Zorvax won't be far behind." As they trekked deeper, a sudden growl cut through the air. From the shadows emerged massive, mutated beasts, wildlife twisted by centuries of radiation and bioengineering experiments gone wrong. Elena fired her pulse rifle, the staccato bursts echoing as the creatures retreated but didn't disappear. "We're not alone," Harris muttered, scanning the area. "This place is alive. And angry." Hours turned into days. The team unearthed relics of a forgotten era, rusted outposts, collapsed data centers, and cryptic messages carved into stone walls in long-lost human scripts. Tessa's fingers flew over ancient terminals, decoding fragments of information. But tensions rose as subtle signs of sabotage appeared. Supplies tampered with, maps altered, equipment malfunctioning. Elena confronted her crew. "Someone here is working against us." Whispers of betrayal grew louder. Suspicion fractured their unity like acid eating through metal. Paranoia crept in. One night, under a pale alien moon, Elena caught movement outside their camp, a shadow slipping silently among the trees. She followed, heart hammering. In a ruined temple, she found a figure cloaked in darkness, tampering with their communication gear. The intruder spun around, human but eyes cold and unrecognizable. "A spy," Elena hissed, weapon raised. The figure smirked. "You think you're the only ones fighting for survival? I'm here to ensure this mission fails." Before Elena could react, the spy vanished into the jungle's depths. The betrayal was worse than she feared. As dawn broke, Elena's crew regrouped. "We can't trust anyone," Elias said grimly. "But we can't stop now. The encryption key is close." Guided by Maya's fragmented AI whispers, they ventured into a subterranean vault beneath the ruins. The air grew cold and still, heavy with the weight of centuries. Inside, walls covered in glowing glyphs pulsed faintly with power. At the chamber's center, an ancient console awaited, a relic of human ingenuity designed to unlock secrets lost to time. Elena's hands trembled as she interfaced with the device. Streams of code and images flooded her mind. Coordinates, star charts, encryption keys, and warnings. Suddenly, alarms blared through the vault. The Zorvax had tracked them down. "Defense systems activating," Tessa shouted. "We need to move." The team fought through collapsing corridors, dodging automated turrets and poisonous gas. The vault shook violently as seismic charges detonated nearby. Emerging from the chaos, Elena looked back at the crumbling ruins. New Eden's secrets still alive but fiercely guarded. The traitors' sabotage had exposed them, but the mission was far from over. "We have what we came for," Elena said, clutching a data chip pulsing with Maya's code fragments. "Now we take the fight to them." But as they prepared to leave, a chilling broadcast echoed through their comms, a Zorvak's voice cold and triumphant. "You may have your secrets, humans, but your war ends here." Elena's eyes burned with defiance. "No," she said quietly. "This is just the beginning." The Zorvak's broadcast echoed through the static-filled comms, chilling and absolute, a warning that humanity's time was up. But in the cramped command center of the stolen shuttle, surrounded by flickering monitors and the hum of ancient tech, Captain Elena Reyes felt something stir, a defiant spark that had long been buried beneath years of desperation. "No," Elena said, voice steady and cold. "The war is far from over." Beside her, Elias Vorn paced the narrow cabin, eyes blazing with renewed purpose. "New Eden's secrets give us a weapon. The Zorvak's prime mind's encryption is vulnerable. Maya's awakening is the key to cracking it wide open." Dr. Tessa Aaron, fingers still trembling from interfacing with ancient code, looked up. "If we can hack into the prime mind's neural network, we could disrupt their entire command system, throw their empire into chaos." Lieutenant Harris, bandaged but unbroken, smiled faintly. "That would buy humanity time. Maybe enough for a real counterattack." Elena's gaze hardened. "Then it's exactly what we're going to do." The stolen shuttle navigated deep into uncharted space, skimming past asteroid fields and dark nebulae as the crew prepared for the boldest strike humanity had ever attempted. Their plan was audacious. Infiltrate the Zorvak's flagship, the Dread Sovereign, and upload Maya's virus directly into the Prime Mind. "It's a suicide mission," Elias admitted. "But if anyone can pull it off, it's us." Elena's fingers tightened around the command console. "We fight because we must. For Earth, for every lost life, for the future." Weeks passed in stealth and shadows. The human crew learned to move like ghosts, evading Zorvak's patrols and hijacking supply runs. Along the way, they encountered scattered pockets of resistance, other human colonies and alien allies oppressed by the Zorvak's regime. In one tense encounter on the mining colony of Corvinus Prime, Elena brokered an uneasy alliance with a fierce warrior race known as the Talari. Towering, armored, and fiercely independent, the Talari had resisted the Zorvaks longer than most. Their leader, a battle-scarred matriarch named Karin, eyed Elena with suspicion before agreeing to join the rebellion. "Humans fight with heart," Karin said, voice like grinding stone. "We fight with honor. Together we will shatter the Zorvak's chains." With new allies and renewed strength, Elena's ragtag fleet grew, a flicker of light in the encroaching darkness. The final approach to the Dread Sovereign was nerve-wracking. The flagship was a colossal fortress, bristling with weapons and guarded by squadrons of elite Zorvax fighters. Elena's small craft slipped through the defensive grid using Maya's cloaking tech, now stabilized and far more powerful. They infiltrated the ship's lower decks, moving silently through labyrinthine corridors. Every step brought them closer to the heart of the enemy, the Prime Mind's neural core, a pulsing nexus of biomechanical nerve centers that controlled Zorvax fleets and worlds. Elena's breath hitched as they reached the core chamber. The walls shimmered with alien energy, and the air vibrated with a strange, oppressive intelligence. "Maya, initiate upload," Elena commanded. The AI's voice echoed in her mind, calm and precise. "Uploading virus. Disrupting encryption. Layers." Suddenly alarms blared. Zorvax forces converged. The team braced for a brutal firefight. Bullets and plasma ripped through the air as the humans fought with desperate skill. Elena covered her crew, taking down enemies with relentless determination. Every shot was a promise. Humanity would not break. With the virus spreading through the Prime Mind's network, chaos erupted. Systems flickered and failed. The Dread Sovereign shuddered as control slipped from the Zorvax's grasp. Karin's warriors surged through the corridors, crushing enemy resistance. The tide had turned. As the flagship spiraled toward destruction, Elena's comm crackled with a final defiant message from the Zorvax High Commander. "You may have won this battle, humans, but the war for the galaxy has only begun." Elena's voice was fierce and unwavering. "Then let them come. We are no longer the hunted. We are the hunters." The Dread Sovereign exploded in a blinding flare, lighting up the void like a dying star. Elena and her crew escaped in a battered shuttle, the virus burning bright in Maya's core, the spark that would ignite the rebellion. The war had changed. Humanity was no longer a fading ember, it was a blazing inferno. The explosion of the Dread Sovereign echoed across the dark reaches of space, a luminous beacon signaling the fall of the Zorvax flagship and the birth of hope. Captain Elena Reyes sat in the cockpit of their battered shuttle, watching the fireball fade into the star-studded void. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of what had just been unleashed. The virus embedded deep within the Prime Mind's network was spreading faster than anyone had dared hope. Systems across the Zorvax Empire were flickering out, their vast war machine faltering as command chains collapsed in confusion. The enemy's precision and control, once absolute, had turned to chaos. Elias Vorn stood beside her, scanning incoming transmissions. "It's worse than we anticipated. Entire fleets are turning on themselves. The Prime Mind's grip is slipping." Dr. Tessa Aaron leaned over a console, analyzing the data streaming in. "Maya's code is evolving, adapting in real time. She's not just a weapon, she's becoming a leader, an intelligence born of humanity's resilience." Elena felt a surge of pride mixed with unease. They had struck a devastating blow, but the war was far from over. The Zorvax Empire was vast, their resources seemingly endless. Still, the human spark had ignited a fire that could no longer be extinguished. Across rebel-controlled territories, ships that had once hidden in the shadows rose to fight openly. The ragged fleet, once fragmented and desperate, now coordinated with fierce determination. Every victory inspired more to join, humans and allied species alike, united by a common cause. On Corvinus Prime, Karin's Talari warriors celebrated their first major offensive since the rebellion's birth. Their war cries echoed through towering canyons as they crushed Zorvax garrisons that had ruled with iron claws. Elena's comm crackled with updates from scattered resistance cells. "The war is spreading," Elias noted. "Zorvax planets are waking up to rebellion." But the cost was clear. Casualty reports climbed, resources dwindled, and old wounds ran deep. Trust was fragile, and paranoia lingered. Back aboard the Phoenix 7, tensions flared as the team wrestled with the harsh realities of war. Every victory costs us, Harris said, cleaning his rifle with weary hands. We're good at fighting, but are we ready to win? Elena met his gaze, steady and unwavering. We have to be, because if we don't, there won't be a tomorrow. That night, Maya's AI core glowed softly in the command center. Elena sat beside it, contemplating the strange new consciousness born from code and human hope. Maya, she said quietly, what happens when this war ends? The AI's voice was gentle but firm. We must rebuild, learn from the past, create a future where no species is enslaved. But first, we must survive. As the rebellion gained momentum, the Zorvax High Command regrouped. The defeat of the Dread Sovereign was a wound, but far from fatal. From the shadows, a new threat emerged. The Zorvax Overmind, an ancient intelligence awakened to reclaim control. More ruthless, more cunning, it began hunting the rebellions. Leaders with deadly precision. Elena received a coded message, a warning of an assassination plot against the rebel leadership. The stakes were rising. The war would become bloodier, more personal. Determined, Elena convened a war council with her allies. We're no longer just survivors, she declared. We're a force they fear. But we need unity, strategy, and the will to fight on no matter what. Karin nodded solemnly. The galaxy has seen the flames of rebellion. Now it must see our fury. The Phoenix 7 lifted off from Corvinus Prime, engines roaring with renewed purpose. Ahead lay battles yet to be fought, in the depths of enemy space, in the hearts of broken worlds. Elena glanced back once more, her eyes blazing with resolve. The war was far from over, but humanity had changed the course of history, and now they would rise as the unstoppable flame against the dark. The rebellion's momentum surged like a tidal wave, sweeping across star systems once shackled by the Zorvax Empire. The Phoenix 7 and its crew found themselves at the heart of a growing storm, one where victory and sacrifice walked hand in hand. Elena sat in the command chair, the glow of countless star charts illuminating her determined face. Ahead lay the Zorvax capital world, a sprawling hive of technology and brutality. To strike there was madness, but it was the only way to cripple the Overmind and end the war. Elias stood nearby, scanning battle reports. Our forces are stretched, thin. The Zorvax are consolidating, reinforcing key systems. We're heading into the lion's den. Harris, sharpening his pulse rifle, grinned. Then we better be sharper. Maya's AI voice chimed softly through the comms. Analysis indicates a 67% probability of mission success. Risk of casualties remains high. Strategic advantage lies in surprise and precision. Elena smiled faintly. That's all we need. The assault began under the cover of a dense nebula, the human and allied fleets striking fast and hard. Stealth fighters darted through enemy lines, disabling communication arrays and weapon emplacements. Ground forces landed in coordinated waves, pushing into the heart of the enemy's territory. The Phoenix 7 led a strike team tasked with infiltrating the Overmind's central nexus, a colossal fortress buried beneath the planet's surface. Navigating. Labyrinthine corridors pulsating with alien energy. The team encountered fierce resistance. Zorvax soldiers fought with desperation and rage, wielding weapons that bent reality itself. Elena's pulse rifle roared, each shot a prayer for survival. Elias coordinated tactical maneuvers, guiding their advance with precision, honed through countless battles. Harris covered their rear, his sharpshooting saving them more than once. Finally, they reached the neural core chamber. The Overmind loomed, a massive biomechanical entity, its many eyes glowing with malevolent intelligence. Maya, initiate disruption protocol, Elena commanded. The AI core pulsed, sending waves of code into the Overmind systems. For a moment, the creature faltered, its control slipping. But the Overmind was ancient and cunning. It fought back, sending tendrils of energy that tore through the chamber, threatening to consume them all. Elena and her team fought desperately to hold the line as the virus spread, destabilizing the Overmind's grip on its empire. Outside, the Rebellion's fleet clashed with Zorvax reinforcements. Explosions lit the void as ships fell in blazing infernos. Allies and enemies alike tasted the bitter cost of war. Back in the Nexus, the Overmind's core began to collapse, its consciousness fracturing. "Maya is overwhelming it," Elias shouted. "We have a chance to end this." Elena nodded grimly. "Then we finished the job." With one final coordinated strike, they unleashed a pulse of energy that shattered the Overmind's neural core. Silence fell. The oppressive control that had strangled countless worlds lifted, replaced by a fragile, trembling hope. The victory was not without loss. The team emerged battered, their ranks thinned. Harris carried a deep wound, but his spirit burned bright. Elena looked around at her surviving crew, pride and sorrow mingling in her heart. "We did it. The Empire's backbone is broken." Maya's voice was quiet, but resolute. "The Prime, mind is fractured. The Zorvax will struggle to regroup." But she added a caution. "The war is not yet over. The galaxy is vast, and darkness remains." Back aboard the Phoenix 7, Elena contacted the scattered rebel forces. "This victory is ours. Now we unite, rebuild, and prepare for the battles to come." Corinne's voice crackled over the comm. "The Talari will stand with humanity until the last star burns." A chorus of voices echoed across the network. Humans, Talari, and countless others. The rebellion had become a beacon of hope. As the Phoenix 7 set course for the next objective, Elena stared out at the stars. The war had changed everything, but so had humanity. No longer hunted, no longer broken. They were a force reshaping history. The tide was turning, and the galaxy would never be the same. The stars glittered cold and distant as the Phoenix 7 pierced the void, carrying the weary but unbroken remnants of humanity's rebellion. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck, gazing out at the vastness that had once seemed so hostile, now a canvas for their future. The fall of the Zorvax Prime Mind and Overmind had fractured the tyrannical empire into chaos. Planets once enslaved were waking, their people rising to claim freedom. The galaxy itself seemed to breathe anew, the oppressive shadow finally lifting. But peace was not yet guaranteed. Elena turned to her crew, Elias, Harris, Dr. Tessa, Aaron, and the glowing AI core of Maya. Each bore scars of the war, yet all radiated hope. "We've fought battles that should have broken us," Elena said softly. "But we survived. We adapted. And now we have a choice. Rebuild what was lost or forge something greater." Maya's voice filled the room, calm and wise. "The data recovered from New Eden and the Prime Mind contains technologies and knowledge far beyond what humanity once possessed. It is a chance to leap forward, to unite diverse species and cultures in a shared future." Elias smiled, a rare warmth in his eyes. "We can become more than survivors. We can become architects of a new era." The newly formed Galactic Coalition gathered on the orbital station above Earth, a symbol of unity and resilience. Delegates from human colonies, Talari warriors, and dozens of freed worlds came together, bound by the hard-won lessons of war. In the Grand Hall, Elena addressed the assembly. Her voice carried the weight of history and the fire of hope. "Today we stand at a crossroads. The galaxy has been scarred by tyranny and violence, but from those ashes, we will build a future where freedom, justice, and cooperation reign. We will not forget the sacrifices made nor the cost of peace, but we will move forward, together." The crowd erupted in applause, a chorus of voices echoing the promise of a new dawn. But the road ahead was still fraught with challenges. The remnants of the Zorvax scattered across remote systems, their bitterness festering. Rogue warlords and opportunists threatened fragile alliances. Rebuilding trust among countless species was a monumental task. Back on the Phoenix 7, Elena and her crew prepared for diplomatic missions and exploration, spreading the message of hope and unity. One evening, as stars blazed outside the viewport, Harris approached Elena quietly. "We fought a war to survive," he said, voice low. "Now we fight to live." Elena nodded, "and we fight to make sure no one else suffers as we have." Meanwhile, Maya's AI evolved beyond her original programming, a bridge between organic life and technology, guiding the coalition's efforts with insight and compassion. Together, humans and their allies explored ancient ruins, unlocking mysteries and advancing science. They transformed war-torn worlds into thriving civilizations. The scars of the past remained, but hope bloomed like wildflowers through the cracks. Elena often thought back to New Eden, the lost colony where it all began, and the sacrifices that forged this new path. In the quiet moments before rest, Elena gazed at a small hologram of Earth, now healed and shining bright among the stars. Her voice was a whisper carried through the ship's corridors. This is our home, our future, and we will protect it, no matter the cost. The galaxy watched as humanity rose, no longer as prey, but as a beacon of strength, resilience, and hope. The war had changed history. The war had changed humanity. But most of all, the war had taught them this. Even in the darkest night, the smallest spark can ignite a blazing dawn. The end.